a little.
Mm.
Come on. Maybe if I... Oh, wait. Hold on. Let me switch it over.
Wrong button.
It's always a run button here, run button there.
Ooh, nice.
Okay, it says that it is, but I don't see it. All right. Twitch / Alter Confusion. Okay. Excuse me. Okay. Well, that seems to be working, but I don't see. Facebook is not behaving apparently.
What did you do to Mark Zuckerberg?
I didn't do jack shit.
Maybe that's the problem.
Possibly. Let's see. Let me go to my channel.
Is that like MySpace?
Sort of.
Cool. It's back in style. Who knew?
Okay, it's definitely on YouTube and it's definitely on Twitch, but I don't know what's going on with Facebook.
Yeah, you know.
Oh, you son of a bitch. Oh, that's not good. And my webcam is gone. Un momentos, por favor. Gotta fix this. For some reason my webcam's gone. Time to crawl under a desk. Ow!
You still there?
Had to crawl. Oh, God damn it.
No. Okay.
I had to crawl underneath the desk. Hold on.
I was like very confused.
Mother effer.
Did you break it all?
I don't know. We'll see.
I can hear you, so what's going on?
The webcam kept disconnecting on
there we go.
stream. And I'm gonna roll up. And sure. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
Not sure why Facebook is not picking it up, but you know what? Screw it.
Because it's Facebook.
Yeah, probably. Very strange, though. Very strange.
Well, you know, stranger things have happened.
True. True. All right. Well, anyways, let's do this.
What exactly are we doing?
The Thursday Hangout.
Are you sure about that? Because it's Friday.
No, no, I know, but we're going to do the
What are we going to
Thursday.
call it, though? That's what's more important.
We'll still call it the Thursday Hangout Special Edition.
All right, let's do this.
All right. Let me just get over here. Okay, here we go. Muting everybody. And go. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Ditch the Ultimate Confusion Thursday Night Hangout Special Edition.
Hello! It's the Thursday night hangout, but it's Friday?
Yes, it's Friday.
Are you sure it's Friday? Because my brain says it's Thursday because I'm here on the show. So I'm not sure my body can losing a day out of the week just does not compute.
No,
how it feels.
I hear it. Ladies and gentlemen, this, of course, is the third. What's up, Tabango Jose? This is usually a Thursday night show where we try our best to cover the topics most important. Oh, sorry, let me just back up real quick. I, of course, am your host, Charlie, and I'm joined once again by the prolific cover himself, Zealeus.
See, even the switch of days is throwing off.
I know. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, this, of course, is usually a Thursday night show where we try our best to cover the topics most important to you during the show. At any time during the show, if you have any topics, questions, comments that you'd like to add to the show, please do so by dropping it into the chat. And we'll try our best to cover said input. If we do run out of time, we will add it to the very next show. Now, of course, if you're inputting about an actual topic, then we're not going to be like, well, we're not going to say what you said. That would be confusing. Anyways,
I'm confused.
Everyone should be confused because it is indeed, ladies and gentlemen, December 15th, 2023, which is a Friday. But due to some several events that happened yesterday, I was unavailable. So we decided to push it back 24 hours. So let's get into some topics, shall we? The first one is a bit of a bad news, makes me cry, and that, of course, is that Free Radicals Design, the company behind a series that I love, Time Splitters, which is basically like, it's like you take GoldenEye and then you kind of do like a space-time jump, kind of like Quantum Leap type deal. And unfortunately, that studio is closing its doors.
I wish Time Splitters could still have been relevant in today's age of FPSs because especially like on the PS2, they were fantastic games. And you had the co-op where you could play, versus each other, and you also had a sick map creator.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in the day.
I might still have a memory card with some of my my level creations.
I think in memory of them, you should try to do that this weekend and see if you can boot them up somehow.
I'll have to dust off my my PS2, but it may be a very it might have its rewards.
I think there's one way to find out.
Yes. Now, of course, they came out with Time Splitters 1, Time Splitters 2, and then Time Splitters Perfect, which was the third one, and there was always a rumor of a fourth one, but that fourth one never actually showed up. So, unfortunately, that fourth one will never show up, I guess, sadly.
Sad. Unless somebody else buys the IP and then totally butchers it and makes it into something it actually was not.
Yes.
Because that never happens.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about Valve. Let's talk about a couple stories of revolving around Valve, okay? The first one is apparently Valve had to issue a PSA, public service announcement, discouraging individuals from huffing the fumes that apparently are coming off of the Steam Deck.
Is that a bug or a feature, the fumes?
I don't know, but apparently enough people are making it a thing that Valve had to come out and say something about it.
I wonder if I could get some fumes on my PC desktop, just put my head like behind the back exhaust and see what happens. What do you think?
Something tells me that it might be dangerous.
It's just air, man. It's like electron air coming from the CPU. Give me brain power.
Sure.
Dude.
Apparently, many owners have reported that they can't stop sniffing the fumes that are wafting out of their Steam Deck during play. And of course, it's now become a meme. And people often post online how much they enjoyed the distinctive aroma.
So it's like a TikTok challenge that people did because it becomes viral.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
And apparently, this past week, someone in a Reddit forum actually posed the question of, is it safe to be huffing these fumes?
There's always one.
And thankfully, Valve has come back with a response, an official response. And that is, thank you for contacting Steam support. As with all electronics, it's generally not recommended you inhale the exhaust fumes on your device. While there are no safety concerns with general usage, directly inhaling the device's vent fumes should be avoided. We understand that it may be a meme, but please refrain from this behavior for the safety of your health.
No, they should have really gone all in and be like, no, do not huff. You will die on inhalation of the fumes.
It's just like rubber cement and super glue all over again.
I was actually thinking just the classic Sharpies.
Or Sharpies. Or spray paint in a bag.
I like the Sharpie because it was the easiest. You just take off the cap and you just had a good whiff. Like it was building up in the cap. So like it just kind of released itself straight into your nose.
What about those? What about those markers that smelled like sour apple and blue raspberry and licorice and chocolate and grape and strawberry and watermelon?
I'm sure those were perfectly fine to smell and eat.
I don't think you're supposed to eat them, Zealeus. I could be wrong.
I mean, it's kind of like a good wine. You know, you're supposed to like smell it as you drink it because it gives the full flavor. The margar's no different, I hear.
Sure.
I mean, if you smell it, you should be able to eat it, right? Isn't that how life works?
I think maybe a little lick would be okay.
Oh, is it like how many licks does it take to get to the center?
It's not a Tootsie Pop, Zealeus.
But it smells like one.
Some of them do, yes. I'll fully agree that some of those.
What if you're blind and you can't actually see it and you just smell it and it's like, oh, it smells like a Tootsie Pop, so I guess I should lick it.
Sure.
I'm just saying, it could happen.
Uh-huh.
That's my excuse, at least.
And we've got the name for our show. It might be okay to lick.
Isn't that true of life?
Yeah. Okay.
I like to.
So another fun thing that happened revolving around Valve is that Valve has, as you know, Valve is the owner of Dota 2, Defense of the Ancients 2. And they are running an event currently called Frostivus 2023.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a lovely, and I thoroughly enjoy this, they have I don't know how to describe this. So some players, so when you sign up for this event, you get these like armory gift chests, okay?
Okay. Yep. Like loot box.
Yeah, like a loot box. However, some of the players that play Dota 2 learned that their loot box, which usually contain cosmetics and the like, contained highly toxic lump of coal with punishments ranging from behavior score penalties to main account bans. And they basically did this as part of as a surprise for the thousands of Smurf accounts and bad actors in Dota 2.
That's actually pretty funny.
It is great.
I wonder if you get to keep that loot.
I don't know.
It could be like a new skin that you wear that you're toxic, which people would probably wear proudly. Let's be honest.
I don't think it's an equipable thing. I think it's literally just a piece, a thing that just sits in your inventory telling you that you've been bad.
Do you know people are gonna like post those on like Discord and other places? Be like, look at me, I got special loot that you don't have, and they're just gonna be more toxic about it.
Yeah,
it's like a badge of toxicity almost.
Well, apparently Valve has been really pushing down hard on trying to ban all of these sub accounts, the Smurfs, bad actors, people being total jackasses. And this
Good.
This is just them having some holiday spirit added into the mix.
I mean, I started playing Final Fantasy 14 again, and that's part of what makes the game so good is the Square Enix is super, super harsh on people who are bad actors.
Yeah.
And like they broke no business. And I know it's different because I know there's PvP in it, but it's really a MMO player versus element game. It's a very different beast than something like a Dota. That is very PvP centric, but you could still, I think we can all agree that you should be able to play a PvP game without also being flamed at the same time. Like they are not a mutually exclusive concept. So yeah, I'm all for the developers, in this case Steam, like kicking some ass when people are being toxic.
Totally agree.
I hope they do. And that's why I stopped playing Smite and League of Legends.
Yeah.
This just kind of took the fun out of it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm totally for, I know that some people probably take it the wrong way, but come on. If you're trying to cheat or, make people's lives hell, then you deserve some coal in your stocking.
I appreciate it.
Yes.
And there would be some irony if they take it badly and they're the ones being toxic.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about the real story, the big story that's been developing all week.
Oh.
And that is there was one of Steam's most anticipated games of 2023. A game
Half-Life 3.
A game called The Day Before. Which was like a Last of Us looking survival game. It was supposed to be open world. I'm trying to remember what else they were. Was there an online portion of it maybe as well? Anyways, once it was released at the beginning of this month, people, consumers, noticed that they felt like that this company called Fantastic basically felt like they got swindled and that there was a massive bait and switch with this game. And it has gotten so bad that the company has now since closed their doors. I don't even know if you could still pull it up on Steam. Zealeus, you have Steam open? See if you could find The Day Before. See if that's still a viable download.
I'm looking.
But basically, they shut the studio down on December 11th, citing that the game has failed financially and that they lack the funds to continue. All income received is being used to pay off debts to their partners. Now, of course, yeah,
I can add to my wish list, but there's no way to. It's weird because the option where you see to add the game is not there. Yeah. It's still on the Steam list, but I can't really do anything with it.
So here we players flocked to the relatively unknown release, which hit over 400,000 views on Twitch, 30,000 concurrent players on PC on its first day live. What gamers quickly discovered was that the Unreal Engine game that shined in trailers was not the zombie survival MMO originally marketed, but rather a buggy and relatively empty extraction shooter. The $40 price tag was panned in thousands of Steam reviews, with players calling it a scam, complaining of server issues and broken levels, with many submitting refund requests. Now, since then, one of the volunteer developers on this has come out and basically stated everything about this game was a lie.
Jeez.
Yeah. I mean,
it's always tricky with especially online games, because there was a Wayfinder was a game that I played some off and on,
mm-hmm.
and it was a hot, bloody mess when it released. Like, I mean, server crashes at the wazoo. It was a piece of work. But kind of contrasting to this game, the developers worked through it, and the game continues to do well now, or at least it didn't crash and burn like the day before. And there is some bit of, it feels like I know we see a lot of buggy games that release, but the crowd can very easily also basically crash a game like this. I mean, we've seen with previous games where like they're review bombed and basically give them an overwhelmingly negative or 1-star on Amazon and all kinds of things. So there definitely is a bit, I think, of a mob mentality when it comes to video games like this, where you see something and everyone just kind of shits on it and just kind of takes on a life of its own. Because you see like the reviews on Steam, and I'm like, how many of these people actually played the game that have reviews?
Yeah.
Would be my curious.
So the developer, the volunteer developer went a little bit further and said, turns out everything was a lie, and all I did was for nothing. For all the work I have done, all I received was a virtual currency for one of the other games that the development studio created called Prop Night, some game keys, and a thank you letter. I hope everyone is receiving their money back. I also hope someone will file a lawsuit or something because of all of these lies. And this brings me back to, I mean, this kind of reminds me of the early days of Kickstarter, you know, where you had a bunch of people going, here's this great idea. This is the game we're going to make. And then they took the money and ran. And it happened often enough on Kickstarter that they had to put in some changing in the contract. You're not allowed to basically try to kickstart a prototype. You've got to have something.
Yep.
And there's a lot of promises you have to make to lock it in now. But
I mean, it sounds like it really should have just been, I mean, it's very much an early access game. It's really what it sounded like. And that's where I think it gets tricky, because you see these games that come out that are early access that aren't, ready for release.
Yep.
And that's where it gets a little bit strange to me in a bit, because if it's early access, depending on how you advertise it, I think is it a different feeling as far as what it should be, because like this is very clearly labeled as early access game.
Right, but here's the thing. They said that the company that's now shut down said that they tirelessly worked for 5 years on this shooter without ever taking money from players through early access, pre-orders, or crowdfunding. Something tells me they probably should have, if they, if they were truly interested in trying to create the product they want. Look, I fully support developers trying to create their dream project or and to make a profit off of it. But you gotta know when you've got enough talent and know-how to do it, and when you don't. And it looks like they just kept digging a hole deeper and deeper and deeper. There was also tons of accusations of plagiarizing other games, other trailers.
So what I've seen from that, I think because I've read a little bit on the Reddit post, is apparently it's very clear that what they did is they went on the Unreal Marketplace and basically they just purchased
assets,
all of the assets. So from a legal perspective, as far as copyright infringement, like they did everything correctly, right? Like they went through the right channels. But from what I've been seeing, it's like everything is literally, it's kind of that weird thing where Unreal and all the other game engines, they always, they offer assets that game developers can use. But there's kind of that line between, using those assets that the game engine allows you to use and literally just using only pre-made assets versus actually creating your own content.
Right. Well, I mean, the thing is, I think a lot of people, the consumer, the customer, when they hear that art assets, are being used, that they're supplementing, what the game has. Like usually when you have art assets, maybe you're going to use, you're not just going to buy. You're not going to make a game just off of the assets that you utilize. It's basically art swap. Now, of course, they did do it correctly. They legally purchased the ability to utilize the assets, but you use the assets as a foundation, and add some of your own stuff if possible, but maybe it's not possible. And when I think of that, when I think of simply just utilizing the art assets that are there when you purchase them, or if they're free, it immediately makes me think of RPG Maker. And that does not get you a $40 price tag. That gets you a $1.99 price tag. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. Maybe if it's good, a $4.99 price tag. $4.99, by the way, not $499.
Yeah, but I think this is also a good example of how gamers look at the label of the video game has changed.
Yeah.
Because 5 years ago, if this game came out and was labeled as early access, I honestly don't think there'd be a shitstorm over it.
Right.
Because when early access was first really a thing on Steam, this is literally what early access was for. It was almost like the alpha and beta of video games. And it's like, hey, we've kind of released this for you to look at. We need money to actually finish a game. Now it just feels like, oh, the game's pretty much done. We're just going to call it early access, put it on Steam, and kind of see what happens. It's kind of what it feels like. And it's not any one developer. That just kind of like, I mean, how many games do you look at in Steam that are labeled as early access? And even games, like a really easy one to look at is, for instance, Cyberpunk 2077, right?
Yep.
When that was released, it was basically what you would consider an indie version of early access at that point. And they worked on it, and now you can consider released post early access. So it's like this weird, continuum of what it's released. And there's even the expectation from gamers nowadays when a game is released, where you're still going to release content. Like people will still expect, for instance, like content update to Baldur's Gate 3, not expansions, just like free shit for the game. It's like this, even though it's a finished game, people it's a very weird dynamic from the video game audience now that's drastically different than it was even 5 years ago. And I think that early access moniker has really lost its meaning. And it just has, because this is what early access was supposed to be for, was like kind of like the equivalent of a Kickstarter. Like games aren't finished. We kind of have this, Yeah. So that's where it's weird to me.
Well, that is one. See, that was one of the benefits between early access and Kickstarter is in order to put it into early access, you have to have something playable.
Yeah.
Now, Kickstarter, you don't technically have to have something playable. The problem or the difference between early access and in Kickstarter is that if you Kickstarter, you have to hit a certain monetary goal, and if you don't get it, then no one gets charged the money. Now, with early access, if there's a price tag, you pay it, and it's immediately charged, and that's the kind of trap. But then at the same time, both of them could totally be in beta forever. Which there was a game what was that game? Where the developer tried so hard. I want to say it was called Fortresses or something. And they finally apologized and gave, they were going to make a sequel, and they gave everyone who supported them in early access a huge discount if they wanted to jump in on the next version of the game. I want to say it's something called Fortresses, but I could be wrong. But it is on Steam, or was on Steam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost like they need another label.
Yeah, exactly. Well, here's the thing.
Early access. Truly, don't judge our game. This is what we kind of have right now.
If this game was truly being made for 5 years, what the hell were they doing in those 5 years? Because there's no way that it should have been like that.
That's a fair question.
Feature creep, way too large a scope. There's a lot of games out there who individuals have claimed scammed users because they promised a bunch of stuff, but they removed a bunch of. No Man's Sky was supposed to be online, and it definitely was not when it first came out. But at least they had a solid single player game. This sounds like there was nothing solid about it besides the assets that were purchased and could appear in a bajillion different other games for the right price.
I think it's a tricky part of a project manager is kind of when do you allow feature creep to take over, and it's do you release a game with 5 half-baked widgets, or one great widget, a second okay widget, and the other 3 widgets just aren't there at all. And to be fair, that's not just games. That's kind of all companies in general are always facing that question of, how many widgets do you concentrate on? How many resources do you put into those? And what are your customer expectations out of those widgets?
Right.
Many people have those jobs at companies to answer those exact questions of how they do that. And more than likely, a lot of these, especially indie video game companies, they're not going to have that scrum master or whatever title people give them at companies. They're not going to have that type of
guru.
Yeah, whatever we're calling them today. Call Axe. He'll help you.
Yeah.
But a lot of companies probably aren't going to invest in those because most people are probably just, developers. They can create assets, but it's also entirely separate skill set to be able to have those skills to not just do the workflows, but to also be able to decide to cut the cruft when needed. And you almost need a third person, like a third party person to do that.
Agreed. I mean,
that's the way we talked about it. We're a lot of times don't have your friends and family be the ones who play your video games.
Yes.
Because they'll be like, oh, this is the best thing ever. You need a third party person who really will be like, no, this is dumb. And kind of the same thing with a fair amount of companies creating their widgets is you need somebody who's going to be able to tell you to cut the cruft, and just concentrate on the 2 things you actually do well.
Well, I mean, to be brutally honest, let's look at something like Alter Confusion, which has been around since 2007, which makes me feel really, really old. Look, the thing is, I have a passion for video games. I created this to do video games. I wanted to be, a big name thing. So I tried to get as many AAA title games and tried to blast through them and write reviews for it. That was not feasible. I was trying to write, I think, 4 or 5 reviews a month on top of doing a webcomic 3 times a week, on top of writing news articles from all over the place. I basically was doing 5 to 6 people's jobs, and that's just not. I'm not built that way, and I forced myself to do it. And to be completely transparent, if I had basically a taskmaster or a project manager, someone to help me kind of organize stuff and maybe have additional help to have someone write the news stories, someone help with the reviews or with the editing of the Thursday Hangout, or to help with social media. There's people have their specialties. There are jacks of all trades out there, but individuals who have proficiency in all avenues is a very, very, very rare thing. And there's a lot of people who think they could do that kind of stuff, and then they fall flat on their faces. Hell, there's the Kickstarter game Broken Age, which is many, many years ago now. I mean, hell, they had tons of veteran talent attached to that, and they mismanaged the finance. And I'm not saying that they ran away with the money, but they didn't take into account how much it was going to cost. And so literally they were able to give half a game, and it was really just a beta of that game before they ran out of money, and then they had to rely on basically the names attached to the game to put it into Steam early access and gain enough money to help finance the completion of the first half of the game, and then make the second half off of the sales of the first half of the game. So it actually turned out to be 2 pieces. People who kickstarted the game got both pieces at the original cost, and anyone else who was late to the party had to buy both pieces separately. So it happens to the best of us. But here's the thing. At the end of the day, you got to be man enough to admit you're over your head. That's really what it boils down to. And it looks like this company just kept going and going and going and praying that somehow magically this extraction survival shooter was going to magically become an MMO equal version of Last of Us, which absolutely did not happen.
It doesn't help that you've had other really good survival MMO type of games come out in the last couple of years.
Yeah. That's the other thing, is maybe 5 years in development was too long for them. Maybe they missed their window as a result.
Yeah.
People might have been more forgiving early, 3 years ago than now.
Yeah. Not my genre at all, but I know they exist.
Yes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to pause real quick to thank some individuals and groups that help Ultra Confusion be the best Ultra Confusion that we can be. These are, of course, our friends of the show. So without further ado, let's give some shout-outs here. First shout-out we got to give is to the Indie Cluster. The Indie Cluster is an organization of independent game developers that want to gain exposure by being involved in the community. They collectively journey to popular conferences as a traveling booth to help gain attention for their games. They make partnerships with local communities to bring games to the mainstream mindset. They highlight local, unusual, and rare concepts to challenge the paradigm of the common. They also host events to teach kids and minority groups about game development to hopefully one day enter the industry themselves. For more information, go to indiecluster.com. The next shout out we got to give is to the AV master himself, an individual who definitely puts his blood, sweat, and tears into every single convention that he assists in, and that, of course, is Noodle Boy Media. Founded in 2015 by Andrew Tran, Noodle Boy Media, previously White Kid 47 Media, is your choice for professional photo shoots and panel recordings at conventions. They pride themselves in providing a high level of professionalism, top-notch experiences, and quality services. If you want more information and to view their full list of services, check out facebook.com/noodleboymedia. Now, if you are in the Atlanta area, I highly recommend this next one. This is an individual who can help get those aches and pains from long gaming sessions out of your body, and that, of course, is Hero Chiropractic. Here, Chiropractic is a unique healthcare practice set up by Ryan Moore, the company's focus to elevate a patient's experience of freedom, creative expression, and joy. They believe that everyone can be a hero and has incredible heroic potential inside themselves waiting to be unleashed. Hero Chiropractic focuses on mobile chiropractic care in the greater Atlanta area. They are committed to healing clients by creating a plan of action uniquely suited for each person. They make that plan of action as convenient and affordable as possible, and most importantly, suited to your individual needs. For more information, go to herochiropractic.com. The next shout out we got to give is to the music maestro himself, Crosspad Creative. Need a new logo or want to work on a full branding and content strategy, or maybe you need music or audio for your content, just like Alter Confusion? Crosspad Creative offers a whole host of solutions for individuals and small businesses. Just email Josh at crosspadcreative@gmail.com and see what he can do for you, which, by the way, he just moved back to Atlanta, so he's currently setting up his studio as we speak.
Nice.
The final shout out we got to give is to the original patron himself, and that, of course, is Agile Axiom. By day, Axe leads both a development team and system administration team working with satellites at NASA's Goddard campus. But while not in meetings and many times during, he is the Agile evangelist Agile Axe, championing the philosophy of Agile and trying to make the world a better place for software developers, testers, system admins, and software projects the world over. Decades of experience. Hold on a sec.
Don't die, man. You can make it.
Sorry, throat got a little dry there. Decades of experience in software development and leading agile teams are brought to bear against evil processes, inefficient work, and bad habits. For more information and to also check out his book, go to agileaxiom.com.
You all right there?
Yes, just give me one more second to take one more sip, and then we'll do the rest.
I'm greatly worried about you, man. You can make it. I have faith in you.
Sorry, this change in weather is just killing me. My allergies.
It's the changing days.
All right, okay, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, I know that a lot of you want to, are curious as to how you, too, can become a supporter and friend of the show. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you this right now. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm saying ladies and gentlemen way too much, but we're going to say it one more time. Ladies and gentlemen, Alter Confusion survives on the love and support of fans like you, and so we have a Patreon page. Patreon lets you, the fans, lovers, haters, demigods, interdimensional beings, gods, demons, aliens, mummies, swamp things, vampires, werewolves, supporters, and more to become active participants in the work we love through a monthly membership. This gives you access to exclusive content, community, and insight into our creative process. In exchange, we gain a bit more freedom to do our best work and the stability we need to build an even stronger creative career. We currently have 2 tiers that you can pledge at. There's the $1 tier, that's $1 a month or $12 a year. And what you get is early access to all of our playthroughs, as well as the ability to participate in patron-only posts. Now, if you're feeling a little bit frisky and you want to have a shout out during the Thursday Night Hangouts, there is the $5 a month or $60 a year tier. Not only do you get everything at the $1 tier, but you also gain your name or organization added to the Friends of the Show section of every single Thursday Night Hangout. So you want to become a patron of Alter Confusion, go to Patreon, that's patreon.com/Altered Confusion today. Now, we are getting close to the end of the year, and ladies and gentlemen, it is also getting close to that time where Charlie's going to try to find a way to do 24 hours of gaming in support of Extra Life, because Alter Confusion is proud to say that we have been fundraising for Extra Life for 12 years straight. Extra Life is gamers doing what they do best, game, to help sick and injured children at their chosen Children's Miracle Network Hospital. The money that we raise through Extra Life will go directly to Children's Healthcare of Atlanta as unrestricted funds. This means that the hospital decides where and how to spend the money to ensure the dollars we raise make the biggest impact to the lives of the kids they treat. So if you have the capacity to donate, please go to extra-life.org and search for Altered Confusion today.
Yes.
And currently, I'm trying to pull this up while I'm doing this, so give me 1 second here.
Are you looking at your zone?
We have already surpassed our goal, but by all means, please continue to donate. We are currently at $495 for this year. It would be great if we, continue to finish the year strong, because there are still days in the year, and this is good until the end of the year. So please, if you still have not donated, please go to extra-life.org and donate today.
I mean, you had a king donate to you. What other incentive could people possibly need?
I know. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let us go on to the next story. The next one is, I don't know, this is special to me. I was a huge fan of a Disney show that unfortunately only had 2 seasons. It made sense to only have the 2 seasons, but there was a show called Gravity Falls. It is a phenomenal show. If you look it up, I believe it's usually they rated from age 9 to 12, but it's for basically kids 9 and older. Because I'm a kid at heart. I still like to watch random episodes of Gravity Falls. But the reason why I bring up Gravity Falls is that there is the creator behind Gravity Falls. His first name is Alex. I could never pronounce his last name. I'm going to say Alex Hirsch. He has announced that one of the most devious, evil bad guys in Gravity Falls, who goes by the name of Bill Cipher, is writing a book. And it is geared towards an older audience and will be out July of 2024, which I have to get this book. I have to. I have to.
There's no choice.
There's no choice. I will. He's got hashtag the Book of Bill for those of you if you want to look up hashtags. But he said, against all laws of physics, logic, and good taste, Bill Cipher has somehow managed to write a book. This can't be good. The Book of Bill invades bookstores this July, and I'm going to have to get it.
You're just going to get it? It's a thing. It's happening.
Bill Cipher, oh man, he's one bad guy.
I will take your word for
it. But at the same time, like I said, Gravity Falls, it might look a little childish, but there's layers to that series, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I continue to enjoy it when I see episodes airing on Hulu.
It's definitely a show I've not seen.
Now, in a bit of news that we saw coming a mile away, a fan out there who's always wanted to see a specific game called Link's Awakening. He wanted to see Link's Awakening on the PC, so he's been working hard to make a PC port of Link's Awakening. Guess what?
He made it happen.
He made it happen, and the Nintendo said, shut that down. And so it's no longer there.
I am shocked.
I know.
By that happening. I mean, who could have ever seen that one happening?
I know. Yeah. I mean, Nintendo no likey any fan touching any of their IPs. Ever.
No, I mean, it would be nice, in all honesty, to have Nintendo games, especially first, party Nintendo actually produced games on the PC. That's just the choice they make is to make that not happen.
Yep.
So obviously Nintendo, if you do your own magic to make that happen, they're not going to let that slide. So we could wish, but ultimately that's not going to happen.
Look, the biggest surprise or the furthest Nintendo has ever gone outside their comfort zone is they brought Pokemon to a console. Okay? That's as far as they're going to go. They're not going to start pushing it onto all the platforms. That's never going to happen.
No, but the closest you're going to get is trying the Dolphin emulator on your computer.
Which one was... So Dolphin was that...
I'm pretty sure it's Wii and Gamepad. I think it's Wii and GameCube.
Okay. Because I know NES was the SNES emulator.
Yeah. ZNES, yes.
Yes.
Yep.
I mean, I've heard of that. I mean, I don't know very much about it. It wouldn't have been my emulator of choice if I ever were to have done emulators. I'm just saying.
There's also like SNES 9X or something like that too, isn't it?
Yeah, yes. Hypothetically, there was one like that as well, and I can't remember what the Sega one was. I'm assuming there's a Sega one out there. I mean, who knows for the Genesis?
There's one for everything.
Yeah. Now, and a bit of more not really surprise news. Larian Studios, the studio behind Baldur's Gate, has basically said, yeah, this game's not going to Game Pass. Which does not surprise me whatsoever.
Why is it not surprising?
I don't know. And I understand that a lot of games go to Game Pass. It makes sense. But for me, Baldur's Gate 3 just, I don't know. For it just, in the back of my mind, I always thought this is not a Game Pass game. I don't know.
I mean, for the reports of what Microsoft is paying publishers to go to Game Pass, it's in usually, I would imagine, their financial best interest to do so based on what they're paying.
I think that right now Larian Studios is making so much money that I don't think. I mean, the request would have to be astronomical because people are still buying it.
Yeah, I think it's one of those. If you have a game like Baldur's Gate 3 that does exceeds expectations out of the gate, it would probably make sense to not go into Game Pass until sales start to dwindle.
Yeah, exactly.
Then at that point, it's almost like the initial interest has kind of waned. Then you go to Game Pass at that point.
Mm-hmm. By the way, I know that we were looking at this during the show last week, but speaking of Baldur's Gate 3, they did win Game of the Year.
I was wrong.
Which I totally thought was going to happen. A lot of people thought that Spider-Man was going to get it. I didn't know how that was going to work, but
I think that's what you call the Dark Horse nomination.
Yeah. Now, of course, best game direction was Alan Wake 2. Best narrative was Alan Wake 2. Best art direction was Alan Wake 2. Best score and music. Does this really surprise anyone? Final Fantasy 16. I mean, Final Fantasy. You can't beat when Final Fantasy comes out with a fucking soundtrack, it's gonna win.
Final Fantasy actually has a symphony touring group who goes around the world and sells out concert halls with their freaking scores. That's their thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, best audio design went to Hi-Fi Rush, which is actually on my Steam wish list, so I'll have to check that one out at some point. Innovation to accessibility. I think we actually talked about this. Was the Forza Motorsports. Gamers for Impact. That was, I don't even know how to pronounce that. It's TCHIA, so Chai.
Sure.
Best ongoing game, which was Cyberpunk 2077.
I still think that's dumb.
I know. Best community support, Baldur's Gate 3. Best independent game, Sea of Stars, which I actually beat this week. It is a phenomenal game.
Best community support to me would have actually been
Cyberpunk
2077. Yeah. That's so dumb. Like, they're the ones who fixed the game for the community. So it's like, what the fuck? Like, yeah.
I know. Dumb. But best independent game was Sea of Stars, which is a phenomenal game. It's about two basically destined warriors that have to save their world and maybe more. And the end of the game definitely sets up for a sequel. And that's all I'll give you until I write the review.
Nice.
Best debut indie game was Cocoon, which is yet another one on my wish list. Best mobile game was Honkai Star Rail. Best VR/AR was Resident Evil Village VR mode, which I don't think I could do a VR Resident Evil. I think I literally would shit my pants. Because that dude, Oh man, it got. I'm still reeling from. I can't remember what it was. It was the one like you start in like this like sketchy kind of Scandinavian rundown village, and the dude with like a burlap sack over his head and chainsaw brought the chainsaw right over the back of my neck and killed me. I still haven't recovered from that.
I can tell that like you dream of chainsaws and you scream in the middle of the night.
Yeah. Best action game was Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon. Best action adventure game went to Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Best RPG, Baldur's Gate 3. Best fighting game went to Street Fighter 6. Best family game went to Super Mario Brothers Wonder, which is not a surprise. Best Sims or strategy game was Pikmin 4, which I don't understand Pikmin, so someone will have to explain that to me. Best sports racing game, Forza Motorsports. Best multiplayer game, Baldur's Gate 3. Best adaptation. Okay, so this is recognizing outstanding creative work that faithfully and authentically adapts a video game to another entertainment medium. The winner was The Last of Us.
Okay.
Most anticipated game is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. That's not that big of a surprise. Though it did beat out Hades 2, which I hope was like a close second. We did talk about this one. The best esports game is Valorant.
Sure.
We've got esports team, esports coach, esports event, which is the League of Legends World Championship. There's nothing like that. I mean, I've never been, but I've heard, and it is
I can imagine, yeah,
nuts. So,
yeah,
there you go.
Interesting. I've played none of those.
I need to get back to playing Alan Wake 2. That I can tell you. But you will have noticed if you've gone to Alter Confusion recently, on any of the social media or the actual website, that there are 2 brand new reviews up this past week, and that of course is for Dredge and oh my gosh, I just blanked out on the other one. Oh, Super Mario RPG.
Nice.
And then I will be writing the review for Sea of Stars soon. And just to keep with, I don't know what's going on, but every single game that I've picked up on the Switch has the same turn-based battle mechanic where it's all about tapping the button at the right time to help decrease damage or increase damage, depending on if you're defending or attacking. And that game, oh my gosh, why am I blanking out now? What is it called? Nintendo. Let's see. I'm going to cheat here. What is it called? What is it called? What is it called?
While you're looking, that was
Born of Bread.
Was Super Mario RPG everything you'd hope for in life of a return to your youth?
I'm going to say sort of. I loved being able to play with those characters again. I loved the story. I loved my time during the game. However, the game is a lot shorter than I remember.
Really?
Yeah, I was able to complete the whole thing in under 10 hours.
Huh.
And I was kind of saddened by that. I wanted more, but there wasn't as much world to move around in.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't remember, honestly, how many there were.
Huh. Yeah, it's that was kind of the only sad thing. The only thing that kind of hurt in the end was that how fast I completed it. And I wasn't trying to, it wasn't like I was trying to do a speed run. I mean, I was doing extra battles and definitely trying to equip all my characters with the best of the best. And I was rotating characters in and out. It wasn't like I was just trying to, power up 3 characters and then win the entire game with them. Which is something that I've started to try to do is to rotate characters in and out. You definitely have to rotate characters in and out during Sea of Stars, by the way. I will tell you right now, if you have the ability to pick up the game, it's good. But be prepared to rotate your characters in order to survive some of those battles.
So here's what's interesting.
Yeah.
So on how long does it take to beat.com, Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars, the OG version on the SNES, 17 and a half hours for the main story. The main story for Super Mario RPG, 12 hours. So whatever they did in the remake, it limited a fair number of hours.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you're not too far off from what it would take. Interesting.
Just out of curiosity, since you have that page up, see what Sea of Stars. Because I know I put a ton of time in that.
28 hours.
Yeah, I think I was about 22. So I was about right on there as well.
Nice.
Yeah. But anyways, two solid games, and of course now I'm playing a game called Born of Bread, which is which the blurb is, although he may not look like much, Loaf, the main character, might be the hero this land needs, spelled Kneads. A sentient bread on a quest. Play as a flower golem who possesses a never-ending childlike wonder and a set of odd abilities in this 2.5 adventure game. And by 2.5, that means that it is a fixed camera, and the world moves. Then you go back and forth. And unfortunately, that was the other thing about Super Mario RPG. And I don't remember this in the original, but sometimes it was really hard to gauge, like, depth to make some of the jumps. And so it was quite painful in the when you with your return to Bowser's Castle, doing some of the rooms where you only have a certain amount of tries before you're done. And I'm like, it's not like I'm getting killed by bad guys. It's just I'm misjudging the jump. So yeah,
that'll do it.
Yes, it will do that. But anyways, yeah. So I'm playing that. I'm playing Alan Wake 2. I feel like there's another game I'm playing on the PC, but I can't remember what it is now. I'm sure it's not important.
I'm sure there's always another game, isn't there?
Yeah, knowing me is probably actually here. Oh yes, I am doing the Expanse of Telltale series for the next early access playthrough, and of course, at some point, I'm going to be able to sit down with my son, and we're going to do a deep dive into Bug and Seek, the game from So Peculiar.
Nice.
Yes. So.
Indeed, a solid lineup.
Indubitably. So that's all I've got for this Friday night. Zealeus, you have anything you want to
add? I started playing a throwback game that you might remember on my cell phone that you'd introduced me to, is Cells. For those who don't know what Cells is, it's one of those tap idle RPG games. But they've done a lot of updates since I last played.
Yep.
And so a game like that, I'm like, screw it, I'm just restarting from scratch. So I started replaying that. Yeah, for one of those incremental clicker games, I think it's really well done.
It is very well done.
It is very well done. And then from an actual real game, I started playing Against the Storm, which is basically a roguelite, but not roguelite city builder game. So the big catch in this game from a city builder perspective is, like most games, you have like the campaign, right? The difference with this is depending on where your place you're building or where next in the campaign are, is like certain buildings may or may not be available to you. And so there's different, every map is not the same basically. So that's where it's kind of the roguelite perspective. It's not a roguelite where oh my gosh, you're going to lose every time and you have to redo it. It's roguelite in the sense that it's a different experience each time you take on the next map. It's not just the same, okay, build the forestry start, build the farm to start. It's not like the same, you can't do the same pattern every single map.
Right.
You really change up your strategy. And there's also randomization in it. So you get these random events where it's basically you have to choose one of these two things. To basically do you want these 3 settlers or these 2 settlers and this bucket of goods that comes with it? So you have choices you make. So far I'm liking it. I mean, if you like city builder games, like you're gonna like it. It very much has the graphical interface. It would remind you actually a lot of like Warcraft, like Warcraft 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah.
Only without like having to fight the Horde.
Gotcha.
And
Wait,
of course you have.
So you only played Alliance? Is that what you're trying to say, Zealeus?
I thought in Warcraft, I don't remember. Did you play as the? Could you play as the Horde in a lot? Yeah. It's been so long since I played.
Yeah, you could. You just like World of Warcraft. You chose one side and just went with it.
You know, as a little kid, I probably just played the Alliance. Let's be honest. I didn't want to be scared. I want to beat the evil people.
No, I always chose Horde because they had the funnier lines if you kept clicking on them.
That's fair. So yeah, no, if you like city builders, it's another solid list in the line of city builder games.
Right on, right on.
And so that's also one that just came out of early access, and this is like an actual official, 1.0 release.
Mm-hmm.
But I would also say, like, I've obviously had circles a little bit back to Days Gone. What is that stupid game called? The one we started the entire show with.
The day before?
The day before, yeah. Is like, and this is probably where the big difference between like Kickstarter, early access. I always look at reviews of games, like kind of get an idea of what's going on. And like something like Against the Storm that, was in early access for a while, and you start reading the reviews, you can kind of get a good feel for like, okay, what is this game actually about and like,
right?
Versus just buying it blindly, basically. So that always makes a big difference. In like reading those Steam reviews, you kind of get an idea of what is real versus not real.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if you like city builders, definitely play Against the Storm.
I did want to say one thing. Speaking of Valve or Steam, when all this debacle went down, Steam decided to have a little fun with it, and they actually did a like survival horror Steam sale. I think they called it the days after or something.
Nice.
Yes. So, anyways, okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, I believe we've reached the end of our show. So I do want to thank everyone for tuning into the Ultra Confusion Thursday Night Hangout Special Edition. For myself, Charlie, and Zealeus, it's been a pleasure giving everything come our heads, our mouths, and of course, our hearts. We'll be back next Thursday for another Ultra Confusion Thursday Night Hangout.
And remember, kids, keep on gaming in the free world.
Amen to that, brother. And we're out.
So I'm looking at how long to beat just for fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm going to pull up Final Fantasy 14.
Mm-hmm.
Single player, 103 to 3,600 hours.
Yeah, that sounds all
right. There's a range. What do you feel like playing? You can play a little bit, or you can devote literally your entire life to it.
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah. There's quite a few people out there who I believe fall into that category for several different games.
Ooh, what about World of Warcraft? What does that say?
Oh, Jesus. Just put the infinity symbol.
That's interesting. There's no range. It's just 2,400 hours.
2,400. Excuse me. Excuse me.
So I guess that's like, yeah. What about, another terrible one. Let's see here. You complete okay. League of Legends, 1,700 hours.
How about Smite for shits and giggles?
7.5 hours. It's like, yeah, it's What?
What do you got now, Zealeus?
No, it's interesting because you look at so because it is such a small sample size. But you look at the PC and the average is 3 hours. You look at the PS4 and the average is 6 to 3 hours.
All right.
So there's definitely probably like a correlation. Like you need the exact, like there's a number of players that had to have actually played it.
Right.
The numbers look totally weird.
Right. So fun fact, the urgent care visit that I had right before I got rushed to the hospital to get the appendicitis.
Oh.
They're charging me $230 for basically giving me a bottle of water and telling me to go to the hospital.
Sounds about right with our healthcare system.
And it's just fantastic. Yay. I'm glad that our money is going to the right place.
Yes. But it was a very much a quality bottle of water, right? It really helped.
They gave me the bottle of water because I couldn't pee. That's all they just wanted to see if I could pee in a cup for them.
Wow. I hope you had really fast working kidneys.
I couldn't pee. I was getting nauseous from drinking the water. So they made me feel more nauseous and then sent me to the hospital and they're charging me $230.
It's like, hey guys, somebody here's not right.
Does not compute, gentlemen and ladies. I'm sorry, but yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I could ever play like a show or a video game based off of like a home improvement show.
What?
It's just will never do it for me.
Like you have to fix stuff in the game?
Yes, house flippers.
Sounds like too much work.
Yeah. I mean, the only bonus is that you don't actually have to buy a dilapidated whatchamacallit, property and may not lose money. Ooh, what is this game? What is this game?
What
Trinity
is the game?
Fusion.
Oh gosh, is this a?
This reminds me of. Oh, what was that game on Xbox Live Arcade? It's Metroid. It's a Metroidvania type game. I'm going to put it on the wish list.
Why not?
Gosh darn it! With Shadow Complex. That's what it reminds me of. Shadow Complex, which was a phenomenal game. I wonder whatever happened to that game. Whatever happened to the studio that made it.
Oh, what is that game called?
Let's see. Shadow Complex was released back in 2009. Oh, Shadow Complex Remastered is on Steam.
Uh-oh. I think it's on your next game.
Let's see. Chair Entertainment. Did Chair make anything else? Nope. They just did Shadow Complex. And it was published by Epic Games. That was a fun game, though. Really well done. And looked amazing for what it was. But yeah. So there might be a very good chance that after Christmas, there might be some. I don't know if my computer could take it, but there might be some VR streaming.
Oh,
yeah,
fancy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I guess there's one way to find out.
Yep, gotta wait till Christmas.
I'm not sure streaming VR games like accomplishes much.
Yeah, I I will have to mess around with it, see what it's all about.
Actually, what you should do is probably like stream yourself playing the game and making a fool of yourself.
I'm in the big box, and in the small box is the game.
Yes, you must verbalize what you see to the rest of us.
What is that? Oh my God.
And then draw pictures so we can see what you see.
I'll be too busy flailing around to draw you pictures.
And you got to make room for the VR kit down in your basement too. You need a fair amount of space.
This is true.
Because there's all kinds of stuff.
This is very true.
So that is something to consider.
Um,
Make sure the VR goggles, if you hypothetically get a pair, that they fit over your glasses.
Yes, that too.
And if they don't, because some of them, if they don't have the control, so you can change it. So like basically creates glasses for you because it can change the depth of the field of vision, but not every pair has that.
Well, if it's going to be anything, I think it's going to be the Meta 3, just to be honest with you.
I have no idea what. I just know, like, with the PS2 VR, I don't need the glasses because there's like a little field thing where like I turn the nozzle and it changes
Gotcha.
stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But I know, like, much, I guess you're not getting, but I know, like, the, what is it? It's the Apple one. Like, you have to get the special lenses separately.
Right.
So, yeah. But I have not really looked at any of the actual PC-based ones.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I should probably check on my children. It is a Friday night.
Indeed. Yeah, I gotta be